This is Two J's in a Pod. The J stands for journalist. I'm Mary Ellen Murphy from WGHN Radio. And you're not. Your mic's not on. Hang on. Say it again.
I cannot sing right now.
Your name is who? Your mic wasn't on.
I'm Sarah Leach from the Ottawa News Network.
My apologies, everybody.
That's all right. Nobody wanted to hear this voice. Anyway.
It's not clear when the Justice Department will release the Jeffrey Epstein files. We're going to do national news first. President Trump signed that bill yesterday. Attorney General Pam Bondi says that she'll follow the law, protect the victims. We know that a lot of this, I think a lot of stuff will be redacted. I could be wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, that's
We're not
what I understand.
stupid. Because you want to protect the victims. Okay. It requires the Department of Justice to release the files within 30 days. It'll be interesting to see what happens there.
Well, one of the things that I think that I'm worried about is that now this has become such a toxic talking point that anyone who ever even shook hands with this guy is going to be cast in this dubious shadow. And I don't think that is fair, because we have worked this up to the point of hysteria.
I know.
So I don't think that just because you maybe 20 years ago met this guy at a fundraiser or something or had dinner, maybe you didn't know. Like, how do we know? But it's like the guilt by association on steroids that I'm concerned about, because this is going to affect a lot of lives.
Yeah, that's true.
Fair or unfair. So that it's just the repercussions of forcing this as I think it started as a red herring, and now they have to put their money where their mouth is, and now we're just going to have to deal with the fallout.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, you can if you can take all the things that President Trump has said in his lifetime when it comes to women, and
I mean, we already had enough, if you know what I mean.
Well, it's disgusting.
It's just whether or not there's other people that are in there.
Okay, right. But I'm saying if you take everything that all the documentation, the Howard Stern interviews, all of that, the guy's a known pig. Okay, he's known to be a pig.
Right.
And this is just, I mean, the guy was attracted to his own daughter. That's all you need to know, and that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
But I'm really sick and tired of the way he talks to reporters. If that would have been me, I would have said, "Excuse me, sir, but you're a terrible president." And I would have thrown my mic on the ground, and I would have taken my name tag, I would have taken it off, and I would have said, "Here you go," and I would have walked out.
Are you referring to the ABC News reporter?
But I'm 62.
Yeah.
And I can do that at 62.
Yeah.
I put a post out on Facebook that I want to start a band called Quiet Piggy. Hear me out. I was joking, but I got all these private messages. I play bass. I'm in. I've got money to fund it. Let's go. I've got a drum kit. Are you ready? Can you sing, Mary Ellen?
Can I do backup vocals?
Sure. And then we're gonna have but whatabouts open up for us.
Oh yeah.
Isn't that perfect? But what about this? But what about that? Megyn Kelly. Did we talk about Megyn Kelly? You know what? I'm starting to troll her again. She just drives me nuts. Her stupid comments. She's always opening her big mouth and saying the wrong thing. She's been fired for it.
I've never really seen the appeal, to be honest with you. I mean, it's like that. Ann Coulter is another one where it's just they just have like this very waspy, ice queen like presence.
Yep.
That I don't understand how that went over before all of this political toxicity happened. I don't know.
It's just if you think it's funny that the president, I could see Ayers going, "Oh, he really got her, man. He really stuck it to her." That's unacceptable. That's unacceptable. What if he did it to a reporter from Fox News or I don't know, from Simply American?
Well, then it turns into he had his reasons.
Oh, that's right.
It's right. It's that hypocritical thing.
Whatever. I am going to get to Virginia Giuffre's book and read it. Did I say her name right? I think I did.
I think so.
Okay. I do.
I'm not sure if given my past, I'm not sure if I can take that journey. But my heart goes out to the victims. I mean, I think that's the one thing that is lost in all of this is that
I know, and
that's why I haven't really been that engaged in the conversation.
I can
about
see
the
why.
Files. Yeah, but I just because it's all about like this witch hunt, depending on which side you're on.
You're right about that.
And they want to vilify anyone that they can get that is ensnared
That's true.
in this and real people were hurt. Real people died. You know, it's
you're right, and we should be having.
We're not really talking about it.
We should be having conversations about young men and young women who may be in vulnerable positions, and that's who these predators seek out.
Right.
They seek out a young girl who may be from a divorced family,
or a family that's willing to send their kid because they're in a terrible situation and they need the money.
Right.
And I mean, not to bring up like a blast from the past, but this is sort of the same conversation when Michael Jackson went through his child sexual assault trial. Families would bring their kids there, and he was acquitted, but we're not really sure what happened, and so it's that kind of thing, that preying on the vulnerability of the underprivileged.
And don't think that it doesn't happen here, because there's a hotel in Muskegon on Henry that would open and get shut down. It would open again. It would get shut down. It had those really thick, nasty curtains. There was trafficking going on there.
Yeah.
So don't think
we just didn't have the name for it, though.
Right.
Yeah.
And I shudder to think, young, vulnerable young women and young men, because it does happen to young men too. And
have you seen that commercial that is airing on some of the, I'm trying to think of which network. I have basic cable, right?
Okay.
So it's a commercial that airs on one of the main staple channels.
Okay.
Like it might be NBC or ABC or Fox or something like that. Anyway, so it is a commercial of this kid playing football, and then there's this guy that's taking pictures of him, and then he calls for the kid. He doesn't say him by name, but just says, "All right, get in the car." And the kid visibly just shuts down and is in the back seat, and the father figure is on the phone, and then all of a sudden, like, the father figure it's nighttime, and he's sitting in the car, and the kid gets back into the back seat, and he's visibly shaking and wrecked. And I was like, I can't believe, like, it's very jarring to see that as a commercial. And it's an awareness of sex trafficking. And, it's traumatizing to watch. And I know that that's the point,
right,
is to force people to see that this is happening in their communities. But I gotta say, every time that I have to change the channel, because I don't often get quote unquote triggered, but that's something that's a little too far for me.
I could see that, but you're right. It all does have to come back to the victims. They've been forgotten in all of this. You're right.
Right.
Wow, we'll see how all this pans out, but I don't think. I mean, a lot of people are like, "Well, I just want President Trump to get in trouble." I don't think.
How much more trouble could he? What else is left? Like murder?
Honestly, I don't think there's anything else left. I don't know what else.
Every stone has been overturned.
Honestly, I honestly just don't.
You have all of it. It's just people just will either be mad and care or not.
Yeah.
And either way, what does it matter now? He's in there for the next 3 years, no matter what.
I know. We're going to go on to some local news. White House Christmas tree. That was harvested in Michigan, in Saline Township. It comes from Corson's Tree Farm. That will be in the Blue Room of the White House. The Campbell plant ordered to stay open another 90 days. I'm not surprised. I wasn't surprised by that. Were you?
No. Let's just assume at this point that this is going to be every 3 months for the duration of this administration. Because I talked to a energy policy person over at the League of Conservation Voters. I think I got that right. And they're an advocacy group, nonpartisan, and they obviously advocate for green energy and cleaner air and all this other stuff, environmentally based. And this guy is telling me, I don't know what we can do to stop it, because we don't often engage, we don't initiate litigation. So then I asked where the lawsuit was with Dana Nessel, Attorney General Dana Nessel, when she tried to stop it I think it was between the first and the second time.
It was, yeah.
That the Campbell plant was ordered to stay open. And I think that lawsuit has had absolutely zero action since June.
Wow.
And if you think about it, you file the paperwork, but if nobody does anything, and if the government never officially responds, then what is an AG supposed to do? The only recourse that she has is the courts, and people, obviously have staged several protests over the summer. I don't know what else there is to be done.
It says Secretary Wright says that the Department of Energy is ordering the plant to remain open due to a shortage of electric energy in the area.
I don't think that that's necessarily true, but we also have like this very complicating factor of this conversation about large data centers.
Yeah.
That is not helping.
That's a big deal right now. Yep.
And so obviously, there's one that's going to be, I think it's going to be based in the Lansing area, if I'm not mistaken. And they're very controversial because with all of this development of AI that we have on our phones and Chat GPT and the Google summary, it consumes massive amounts of energy. And so the U.S. was on track to energy consumption rates have steadily declined, not a lot, but incrementally. And now they're going back up because of all of this, new AI technology and the energy demands that it brings.
Right.
And nobody wants these in their town.
No.
They're again, it goes right back to the green energy conversation where no one wants solar fields. We're stealing land from the farmers and we're taking advantage of, small towns. And I don't know if that's actually true or not, but that's the chatter that you always hear every time that one of these gets talked about.
Yes.
So that's not helping at all. And I don't actually know whether or not that has been accounted for some of these utility companies. I would imagine it is. But, how do you convince someone who's already keep the Campbell open because I'm just not sure? How do you now convince them that it's still a good idea to close it when now we have this data energy issue?
Right.
I just don't see how that's possible. That's why I think that this is not going to change.
It is. It was Salem was the one that Governor Whitmer gave the thumbs up to. It's backed by Chat GTP, OpenAI, Oracle. Yeah. You're right.
Well, and we have legislation now in Michigan where it allows the state to overrule local towns zoning and stuff because they saw that a lot of the towns would reject these sorts of developments and then they would never get built. So they had to do something. But now that's controversial because now it's a property rights issue and, whether or not the interests of the state, trump the local residents. And I mean, honestly, it's just there's no right answer. Somebody's always going to be upset about something. And there's no way to navigate out of that unscathed.
Today is Thursday the 20th. So when I say tomorrow, and you hear this, it'll actually be today, but there is a special meeting on Friday with the Ottawa County Board of Commissioners. What is this all about?
This is about the Community Mental Health Department. And so there's been a couple of rumors circulating over the last year. One is that there's been some of this has taken place in the public. Some of it has been a little bit behind closed doors. But there was a conversation about the Medicaid shortfall.
Yes.
This was last year. So this is before the federal shutdown and the question of pulling back the budget, the federal budget that then pulled back money from the states, and now it's even worse. And so the sky is falling.
Right.
So there was a conversation about whether or not if it's underfunded in a particular area in a state, and then it's distributed to these groups called, I'm going to forget the name of it. Ours is called the Lakeshore Regional Entity.
Right.
And so it's a cluster of counties, and so they get their funding distributed from the state. And so this LRE is it sort of is like the fiscal manager of the funding.
Okay, that makes sense.
Like the pass through.
Right.
But then you also are kind of lumped in with this block of other counties, and so the question last year was whether or not a county had the legal authority, if let's say it's a community that has a surplus in a rainy day fund, can they take that local money and can they use it in the mental health department in terms of covering a shortfall? And there's a lot. I have to tell you, for 3 months I tried to find an answer to this, and I talked to lawyers, I talked to people that work in all of these agencies throughout the state, and I did not get a clear answer. I'm not sure if it's legal or not.
Wow.
So it could be about that. This special meeting could be about that because we can see that there is a huge financial, crisis going on with Medicaid dollars. Number two, there also is a rumor that that CMH might try to make a request to break off and become independent from the county. That has been circulating for the last year as well. When I interviewed Dr. Michael Brashears, who's now the director of CMH, he told me himself that this is something that he was contemplating. So it is possible that this legal opinion that the board is set to review in closed session could be one or both of those issues.
Aren't there members of the OIers that don't really support community mental health, that there's been issues where they just don't want to give them any more money? Or am I wrong on that?
They support if you were to ask them, they support mental health, of course, because they are the most vulnerable of our population, which is absolutely true. But they support specific types of mental health funding.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yes.
So, okay.
So we have heard a lot about autism. It's not just about it's one specific group of people that they want to have additional funding for.
I see.
If you know what I mean. So it's sort of this double talk that you get.
Okay. Yeah.
It's not somebody that's just walking around, with, maybe schizophrenia and an alcohol addiction. It's not that. That's the person that they're necessarily advocating for.
No, that's too bad.
Yeah.
Okay. The less I think about them or give them any life, the better. The OIers I'm speaking of. Okay. So, wow, that'll be interesting to see how that pans out.
I know. Well, and I honestly, this is just my read. Timing is really bad.
It is bad.
It's real bad because nobody has any money right now.
Yeah.
The federal government is a mess. We have, a stopgap bill to keep the government open until January?
It's until January,
I think.
Yeah.
Sure, the state has a budget. Nobody has any money. Like Medicaid got cut. All of these changes are happening.
I know.
Why would you add another layer of uncertainty about your legal viability on how funds are spent, on how our tax dollars are spent? And look, I support the mental health community. I just don't want to see the county get sued again.
Right.
And then number two, if it's about, breaking off independently, you're going to have to hire all of your own internal staff to now support that independent structure. No more using the county's resources, financial planners, the fiscal director that helps them do their budget every year. You're going to have to get all of your own stuff.
Wow.
And that costs more money. You're going to have to get a building or a rent from the county. And it's just, I just don't know why we would have this conversation now.
Wow. Wow. I did post part 2 of Commissioner Jacob Bonnema's interview. It's about an hour long, so maybe if you're traveling for the holiday coming up next week or you got some time, I would listen to it because he does take you step by step, and it's really interesting. I'll give away a little bit here. When they're getting, the lawyers, okay, they got the $4 million on the table, and the lawyers, they got to draw up some stuff. And Allison Miedema says, well, why don't we just go get dinner? Let's go get dinner somewhere, and then we can come back and wrap this up.
Yep. I think that she probably had a good spidey sense.
So,
I mean remember back in November 2023, I mean, everything was at fever pitch.
It was
right?
at fever pitch, yeah.
And I can only imagine being a fly on the wall in that room. I've heard the tale in a couple of different ways from a couple different perspectives, but Yeah, I think that she probably had a sense that there was going to be something that might undo this deal. Now, I have often wondered what would have happened if I hadn't have broken that story.
They would have signed the deal on Tuesday.
I don't know whether or not that would have gone through, though, because I think that one of the biggest issues, yes, it was sensational with the fact that this secret was out before, it was the deal was fully done. However, I think that they would have run into issues with their insurance. I don't think that they adequately consulted with the insurance authority, and I think that they probably legally couldn't do the deal.
I see.
I don't think they didn't try to pull out of that deal just because the cat got out of the bag and it was bad optics.
Right.
I think that they were in trouble, logistically, and in some ways, maybe breaking the story did them a favor.
Probably. You're probably right.
I mean,
wow.
I think that we still would be in this situation.
Wow.
I really do.
Man.
They still would have withdrawn, and then, Adeline Hambley would have filed to legally enforce it, and then we still would have had the outcome that we had.
Wow.
None of us just would have known what the deal was.
Right. All right. Well, that interview, it's out there at WGHN.com in the podcast section, and I've posted it on Facebook and whatnot. And so took care of that. When are these minutes going to be released? What do you know?
Yeah, so I'm learning so much about closed session minutes and like when they get released. So because this was the culmination of a lawsuit, this was filed by the Sentinel, remember?
Right.
The language has to be agreed on between the attorneys that are involved in the litigation. And so obviously that's the county attorney, that's the Sentinel's attorney. And then I believe that Sarah Howard, who was Hambley's attorney, also has to at least because this is an offshoot of that case, so she's still involved in that conversation. Okay. I've been recently told that they have all agreed on the language. I believe that it has been sent to the judge, but then obviously it's a delay. We might see it by tomorrow, we might see it by early next week, but it's possible that it might not be until after the holidays because you know how courts are slow.
Exactly.
So the judge then receives the language and then issues the order to essentially affirm what the commissioners already voted on. And then the county then the county clerk's office will post those minutes up on the website like we saw with the Epperson and Wetmore deal.
Okay. So. Okay, and remember there is no audio, and so you won't hear anything, but you'll be able to read things. But you can listen to Commissioner Bonnema's interview, and he can kind of take you through it step by step. And to be a fly on the wall in
also,
that room.
Also, go back and read that story from November of 2023 when I was working at the Sentinel. I mean,
yeah, you're right.
That it was within a matter of days, and honestly, the documents are in the story. They're embedded in the story. You can read the agreement that the lawyers agreed to.
Right.
Like within 48 hours of this closed session minute that approved that $4 million deal.
Jeez.
Knowledge is power, my friends.
Yeah. Short work week next week. We will not be doing a podcast because you will be headed out of town for the holidays.
I know. I'm very excited.
Yeah, and good for you. You need this, and good for you. Good for you. I'm not going anywhere. I don't know what we're doing. I know I'm making pie. Maybe we'll just have pie. I don't know. My kids, they're older now, and one of them has
their own thing.
One of them has their own family, and it's a divorce situation. They don't need to be going to 8 places. Just do your own thing, and we'll see each other at another time.
I hated that phase of life.
That's what I'm saying. And when I talk about the forest through the trees, anybody listening that may be in a divorced situation or you're having issues with your ex, you gotta make it work because you're not looking at the big picture. You're not looking at the big picture. Your children should not have to go to 8 million houses for the holidays. Are you a pecan pie person or a pumpkin pie gal?
I actually, my favorite pie is what my mother's favorite pie was, which is French silk.
Please.
I could eat a whole pie.
I've never made one.
I've got a great recipe for you.
You do?
Yeah.
Because you got to put...
We're making it.
You use eggs.
Oh, yeah.
The egg yolk.
Yep.
Because you can eat raw egg.
You whip it, whip cream.
Yeah, and then you got it. And then you got to temper. Yes. I love... I've only bought Marie calendars. I've never had homemade. Oh my gosh.
Well, my little one loves it too. So now, even though I think that we're going to make too much pie because she wants to make an apple pie, a pumpkin pie, and the chocolate pie.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's kind of too much pie. But it's, you know what? She wants to do it. She wants to be in the kitchen with me.
That's nice.
My aunt says, because my aunt hosts. Are you sure you're going to be able? I'm like, honestly, pie is actually not that hard.
It's not that hard, no.
You put a crust in, you put some filling in it, and you shove it in the oven.
Right. It's not like you're taking it out every 10 minutes with cookies and doing all that stuff. Your little one, does she still believes in Santa Claus?
Yes.
Okay, good.
And so it's funny because I was just texting with one of my friends who her daughter is right on the cusp, and she's like, so have you had the talk? And I said, look, I actually never really had the talk.
Yeah.
I know that my oldest doesn't. And so he sort of alluded in sort of a sarcastic way, maybe about 2 years ago. He's like, oh, yeah, Santa. Yeah. And I just kind of looked him in the eye in that way that only mothers can do. And I just said, well, we want to keep the magic alive for those who still want to celebrate it, right? Mm-hmm. And he just stared back and he's like, yes, mother. So he knew. And so it's never come up again. And so I think that's kind of the better way to handle it rather than that jarring, you don't, because honestly, I remember feeling so duped, I think, as a child because my friends, my friends didn't tell me, my family told me.
Okay.
And I think maybe it just should have been a gradual thing rather than this isn't real. It just, I don't know. Yeah. It's like something dies in you a little bit.
It does a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm going to wrap this up with a story, if that's all right.
Yeah.
When I was a little girl, my mom worked midnights at Holy Cross Hospital. So on Christmas Eve, every Christmas Eve, she would tuck me in at about 9:30, and she would share a story about a little girl who grew up poor, didn't have indoor plumbing, and, would get by with maybe 1 or 2 gifts at Christmas. And then one year she woke up on Christmas morning and there were presents all under the tree. And it was because of the newsboys, that the Goodfellas and the newsboys that sell that paper. That was why she got gifts. And then every year after that, she would get gifts. So she'd tell me that story. And I would lay in bed, Sarah, thinking about that little girl, and my heart would hurt a little bit. That's empathy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fast forward all these years later, I tell the story to my daughters on their first Christmas, and I realized that little girl was my mom. And I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And so now my daughter tells her daughters that story. And I think that story created empathy. That was the first time I had empathy in my life. I was only like 6.
Yeah.
Thinking about that little girl, going to bed thinking, gosh, who is she? Is she cold? Is she? And that is how my mom gave me the gift of empathy. And I just wanted to share that.
Yeah.
I don't mean to cry.
No, it's an emotional thing. I mean, hey, it's been a long week. I
know. I miss my mom so much. I know. And I know you miss your mom.
Girl.
I know. And it's just
every day.
I know, and it's just one of those things, and it's like you've become like a sister to me. I don't have any sisters, 4 older brothers, and so yeah, just by sharing that, I just by sharing things like that, that's in a way how you give your children empathy. I was the kind of kid that if I saw an older person sitting alone at a restaurant out to eat, my stomach would hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, not that I was over empathetic, because that can be an issue too, but that's empathy. That's what it is, you guys.
Yeah. I remember when my mother was much like me. It's kind of odd how you end up becoming like your mom.
Yeah, yeah.
But she was a nurse. She worked, the shift rotations, getting through the midnights when we wouldn't see each other, and she would leave me little notes in the morning with little doodles of having a good day and stuff like that. So it's I think watching her work so hard is what gave me empathy.
Yep.
And even though I ended up, ironically in the same situation, divorced with kids.
Sure.
I think that my children learn empathy by watching me struggle. Which is, it's a complicated feeling to have.
I know.
Because you want them to have these life skills, because they're not really learning it from their friends at this age. But they see where, well, Mom, can I have this or can I have that? And I said, well, maybe when I get paid next week. Yeah. Those kinds of conversations where, can we do this? And I'm really tired and I have a lot of chores to do, or I have to go to, I have to go to the computer and work for a little while.
Right.
I think they realize the harsh realities of life.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Thanks for being here, sister. She's my sister in sound and in life.
Another mister.
Because we are East Side girls, the other side of the state. Once you get to Brighton, I don't know how you get where you need to go.
That's the route I take. Yeah.
Okay, once you get to Brighton, you better drive 95 miles an hour. People are going to be slamming their horns on you. Have a happy Thanksgiving. This has been 2 J's in a Pod.